Every once in a while, I like to take a break from my current project and do something simple. In this case, I'm going to paint and weather this cheap pickup truck. Welcome back to my channel, and as always, thanks to my subscribers. This is a model of a Ford Model A pickup. It is made entirely of plastic, but otherwise it's quite a nice model. The only problem is that this car would only look this nice if it were still on the showroom floor or if it were on display at an antique car rally. Ford started making Model A's in 1927, and my layout is set in the late 1950s, so this car could conceivably be 30 years old. I want to make it look that old. I started by disassembling the car. That usually involves removing a small screw from the underside of the car and levering the car body off of a clip on the front end. It took a little bit of work, but I finally got the car separated into four main parts: the chassis, the cab, the truck bed, and the interior. Often the windows are a separate casting that can be removed from the cab, but in this case they are glued in place. So before I can prime the pieces, I need to mask off the windows. I used Tamiya masking tape, and I used this burnishing tool to ensure the tape was sealed firmly around the edges of the windows. Then I carefully cut around the edges of the windows with my number 11 blade and peeled off the excess tape as you see here. You can skip this step if you like. Painting the windows a light gray color and overpainting with a clear gloss coat makes an acceptable window. Before I primed this part, I gave it a clear gloss base coat to seal the edges of the masking tape. This prevents the primer from wicking under the tape. Here are the four primed pieces. Notice that I primed the interior using a darker gray primer. This will add some shadow to the interior. I looked online for photos of an old Model A pickup truck and found this one. This is almost exactly how I would like my truck to look, so I printed a copy of the photo and used it as a reference while I painted my model. I started by painting the tires using Model Master Grimy Black. As you can see, this is really just a dark gray color. While I had the grimy black out, I used it to paint portions of the car body using washes of varying strengths. This is intended to simulate faded black paint. Next, I applied thin washes of raw sienna to get an overall rusty look. When that had dried, I applied thinned raw umber along the bottom edges of some of the body parts to simulate heavier rust. Next, I painted the bumpers, the headlights, and the tail lights with Model Master aluminum. This color is a little less shiny than chrome or silver, and it looks like heavily oxidized chrome. Once the aluminum color had dried, I dabbed a light wash of raw sienna in a few places on the bumpers. Now for the tail lights. I used Tamiya X27 Clear Red to paint over the aluminum color. As you can see, the paint is almost transparent, but it adds a nice red tint to the underlying paint, giving a very realistic tail light appearance. Once everything had dried, I gave the entire truck a light wash of apple barrel khaki. This gives the truck a generally dusty appearance. When that wash had dried, I used Vallejo 70.510 clear gloss varnish to paint the faces of the headlamps. This will give them the appearance of glass. I also used that varnish to paint the surface of the license plate holders. This will provide a smooth surface for good decal adhesion. Next, I peeled the tape off of the cab windows. As you can see, the gloss spray coat did its job. No primer has seeped under the edges of the tape. Finally, I used a number 2 pencil to rub the edges of the truck bed to simulate bare metal. I did the same on the running boards. As you can see here, this gives a nice bare metal effect. There was one last detail I wanted to add to this truck: license plates. I had found this image of Colorado license plates from the 1950s, so I scaled the image to the correct size and printed it on a sheet of white background inkjet decal paper. If you're printing your own decals, be sure to print on normal settings, not photo quality. Once the ink has dried, seal the image with 2 light coats of dull coat. This will prevent the water-based ink from bleeding when you dip the decal in water. Once the sealer has dried, you can use these decals like any other decal. Cut to size, dip in water, place in position, and fix with microsol. Here are the license plates in position on my truck. All that remains is to reassemble the truck. And now, instead of a truck that looks like it is brand new, I have a truck which looks like it has seen 30 years of hard service on a farm in south central Colorado. I have included links to all the products mentioned in this video in the description below. As always, I would love to hear your comments and questions. If you want to see more videos of this type, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.